Travis Wayne Goodsell. Matthew chapter 7. All Christians take this out of context, and for good reason. Judge not, that ye be not judged. And so, they then talk about the beam and the mote. Why beholdest thou the little tiny splinter that is in your brother's eye, but considerest not the roof beam to support the roof that is in your eye? Hypocrite. First, remove your guilt. Then you can judge your brother. He who is without sin can cast the first stone. He keeps on going, in case you can't understand it from that. All things whatsoever ye would that men should do to you, give you agency, do ye even so to them, give agency. For this is the law and the prophets. Law is the book of Deuteronomy. Verse 15. Beware of false prophets. This is why Christianity doesn't have prophets. Prophets are those who predict the future. And in order to predict the future, you also have to give a day and hour. So Christians wrote in to Matthew, no man knows the day or the hour, despite Matthew giving you a whole bunch of days and hours throughout the whole book. False prophets come in sheep's clothing, but inwardly they are ravening wolves. They are liars. I believe Dallin H. Oaks misquoted a passage in Romans concerning false prophets. They come to you innocent, harmless, but inside their hearts, they're lying in wait to destroy you with their false prophecies. Ye shall know a false prophet by their fruits. You shall judge a true prophet by their fruits. This is the science of agronomy, and it's not referring to fruit. It's referring to word. They speak words. Are they lying, or are they telling you the truth? By the consequences of the words, you may judge them. And so, wherefore, by their fruits, ye shall know them. So, a simple test for this is to go over the law, and specifically the 10 Commandments in the law, except that apparently Christians were unable to count, who created the movie with Yul Brynner and Charlton Heston. They miscounted. Nonetheless, that's how you know what I'm talking about. The law, Deuteronomy, chapter 5. We may now judge the prophets of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. How else are we supposed to know them? This is their big opportunity to show the world they're true. Mormons should not be afraid. Mormons should not be offended. Mormons should not be guilty and make false accusations about my moat when you have a big beam. Alright? So let's judge the living prophets of Jesus. I will try to contain myself. I've already run the test. Question is, Mormons, why haven't you? And Moses called all Israel and said unto them, Hear, O Israel, the statutes and judgments which I speak in your ears this day, that ye may learn them and keep them and do them. Spoiler alert, this is not Moses. It is a Qumran community Jew who is the author of the law, Deuteronomy. He tells you so. In chapter 18, verses 15 through 19, the Qumran community Jew tells you that Moses is the future prediction, prophecy, of the coming of the Jewish Christ. And yes, they give you the day and hour of when he will come. Just like Isaiah, just like Matthew, just like John, who is the AKA who wrote Revelation. All scriptures of the Jews. And wouldn't you know it, there's the date in the very first chapter of the very first book of the Book of Mormon. Verses 8 through 10. There's the date of the coming of the Jewish Christ, Mormons. Do you know the date? I just gave to Idaho Chick yesterday the Urim and Thummim, the key for the gift of Revelatorus. So, let's hope that she does better than what Kwaku did with the gift of translation that I gave to him, for which he threw it away, treated it lightly, rejected. The Lord our God made a covenant with us in Horeb. Yeah, that's Moses. Moses is the Lord our God. The Lord made not this covenant with our fathers, but with us, even us, who are all of us here alive this day. The Lord talked with you face to face in the mount. There's the day and the hour. Out of the midst of the fire. I am the Lord thy God, which brought thee out of the land of Egypt, from the house of bondage. So, Joseph Smith tells you that this is your Christ, in verse 40 of the second vision, and again, very plain, pure, and preciously. In section 103, verses 15 through 18. Behold, I say unto you, the redemption of Zion must needs come by power. Therefore I will raise up, from Deuteronomy 18, verse 15, unto my people, Mormons, a man who shall lead them like as Moses, whom Joseph Smith says in the second vision, verse 40, is your Christ, Mormons. For Mormons are the children of Israel, the seed of Abraham, and must needs be led in an exodus out of bondage of the great and abominable church of the false Christ, of the false prophet. So it is kind of vital to Mormons' eternal salvation that they run the Matthew 7 test and use those 10 commandments that are not 10 but more to judge the living prophets of Jesus. If you hadn't caught on yet, the Jews are not Christian. Jesus is not their Christ. Jesus is the man like Moses being used as a character by the Jewish author of Matthew. So, number one, do the living prophets of Jesus have none other gods but the Mormon who is a man like Moses? Yeah, they have Jesus. Created 1,700 years ago, finished up today. The first creed of Christianity created Jesus as a violation of the 10 Commandments, and then stole the Jewish scriptures, turned them literal history, and made it their Christ. We can judge Christianity too. We can also judge Islam and that Muhammad guy, the false prophet, who likewise claims he's the man like Moses. False. You can't claim to be Jewish and be another religion. Jewish is not Jewish Orthodox of today. Book of Mormon even makes that very clear for you. So, living prophets of Jesus are false. We really don't need to keep going, but we will. We're going to pour salt in the wound, and we're going to make it hurt. It's Judgment Day. Thou shalt not make any idol god statues of the Christus, or anything like unto him, like a cross, or a temple, or even pictures of the living prophets of Jesus who are false. Obviously, this does not mean we can't have possessions because it's a commandment. No, it's because thou shalt not bow down to them, nor serve them, They are false. They want to hurt you. They want to steal from you. There's a reason why you must judge people righteously, so that you do not get deceived. Because in the latter days, Matthew 24:24, there will come false prophets and false Christs, even false teachers, so that we can include Christians and Islamists. Thou shalt not take the name of the Lord thy God in vain. What is his name? Amen El. Biblical Hebrew text is correct about the book of Deuteronomy. The Septuagint and the Latin Vulgate combine the two together. The god Amen of the 18th dynasty, David Moses pharaohs, with the Amen priesthood. That David Moses III is the one who was involved in Armageddon 1 with the Hittites, who in the midst of the war put his foot on the mount, because Armageddon was a valley of the mountains, Har Megiddo, mountains of Megiddo. They fought in the valley of the jolly green giant, Goliath, and so thus put his foot on the mountain. Went on vacation to the little hamlet that would become the Jews of Jerusalem. And we're talking, they pre-existed David Moses III coming in order for them to be there when he was there. In 1450 BCE. Christians have no claim to the land. Islam have no claim to the land. Get out. There will be no Palestinian state. It is not yours. The Philistines, from which the Islamists stole the name from, didn't come until 1300 or 1200 BCE to occupy Gaza. Keep the Sabbath day. Sabbath day was created by Babylon, that were the ones who kidnapped and deported the Jews from Jerusalem. In 586 BCE, that destroyed the temple on 9th Ave, the original 9/11. Rome would then again destroy the Jerusalem temple, number 2, on the very same day. Judgment Day, as it's come to be known. And so the Qumran community Jews know this. So why are they using the Sabbath day? Because this just exposes the Book of Mormon as false, because they use the anachronism of the Sabbath day by Abinadi, who should not even know about this because it was the Babylonians who created it. And Lehi left before the Babylonians assimilated them in Babylon. Oh, right, it's not literal history. It's prophecy for Mormons, about Mormons. There are saved two churches, Mormons, Nephites and Lamanites, both coming from the original source of Joseph Smith. So the Jews know through tradition, but don't know, that the seventh day is going to be the future calendar day of his coming, that all Jews wrote, as well as the Book of Mormon. 1 Nephi chapter 1 verses 8 through 10 is the Sabbath day. So the Book of Mormon teaches Mormons that the law and the writings and the prophets all are types and shadow, prophecy, symbolisms for the coming of their Christ, who would be a Mormon. Plus, there's what's known by the Jews as sabbatical years, 7 years. Joseph of Egypt interpreted Pharaoh's dream about 7 years of plenty and then 7 years of coming famine, and told him to make bishop storehouses for the poor and for Egypt, so that they could be prepared for Judgment Day. Wouldn't you know it, the full latter days are 11 years. But 7 years for the start of the ministry to the last year, with the signs in the heaven of Emmanuel, the sun god at noonday, casting a shadow over the United States of America, writing over America Alpha and Chi from the Paleo-Hebrew script. Omega is the horizon sun, whether in the morning or the evening setting suns. Depends on how it's used in the word and in the context. Got to translate it correctly. "6 days shalt thou labor and do all thy work." This is also why the Jews in their calendars have both the Exodus for Passover and tabernacles, tents, of 7 days. Technically 8, because the Jews start the evening at 6 p.m. That's the first day. So it's 7 days, but 8. 77, 88. That's only significant for me because of my Hinckley dream in 2008. Then the Monson dream in 2016. And then the Irene dream in 2024 on 9/11. But you'd have to be following me to at least know of it. So yes, the Babylonians created it as superstition for idol worship. And the Jews, knowing of the coming of their Christ to restore what the Babylonians stole from them, they included to remind the Jews that they will get their king and kingdom restored. Just not in Jerusalem. Right, Idaho chick? Article of Faith number 10. The United States of America for New Jerusalem. And let's see, and thus he says, remember, in the context of the seventh day, that thou was a servant in the land of Egypt, and that the Lord thy God brought thee out through a mighty hand and by a stretched out arm. Do I need to go back to 103 again? Therefore, the Lord thy God commanded thee to keep the Sabbath day, because it has to do with the exodus of the latter days, the man like Moses. Honor thy father and thy mother. Now there's some debate among the Jews, because they didn't have chapter and verses. And so there's a debate as to whether or not it's just honor thy father and thy mother, as the Lord thy God hath commanded thee, and that the next part, that thy days may be prolonged, that it may go well with thee in the land which the Lord thy God giveth unto thee, thou shalt not murder. This is a Captain Obvious moment. Which, yes, it belongs with thou shalt not kill. Because once you murder somebody, this is not defensive killing. This is not killing for food. This is not an accident where you didn't realize that the consequences would result in the person's death. You were innocent. Murder is deliberately knowing what you're doing and knowing the results and doing it anyway. Murder is the correct translation. And the Book of Mormon corrects this. Once you murder somebody, there must be justice. You have deprived not just the individual of life, liberty, property, agency, but he has potentially family, loved ones, parents. You have taken away their agency too. They need to be restored. Kind of hard to do with murder. And so justice is required. And so, in order to live in peace and harmony with everybody, don't murder. Captain Obvious. Captain Obvious. Neither shalt thou commit adultery. Yeah. Because if a husband comes home and finds you bleeping his wife, he might be enraged to commit killing to defend his wife, whom you're raping, or be upset with his wife and divorce her. And so thus, that thy days may be prolonged, that it may go well with thee, in the land which the Lord thy God giveth thee, don't have sex with other people's spouses. Again, Captain Obvious. Get your own. Now, granted, there may be rejections involved. You may live a long life with nobody loving you. But, and so, yeah, you don't want to steal. Don't do it. It doesn't belong to you. Now, granted, When the government fails to regulate the economy gets greedy and thinks they're going to make a whole bunch of millions of dollars, a whole bunch of money, by screwing over the customers. So we forgot to go judge the church on this, didn't we? Why didn't you tell me? So yes, church promotes Jesus. Church uses the Sabbath day, as Christians do, for superstition. Superstition Sunday, 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 not Saturday. The coming of the Mormon who would be the Christ. They are not keeping the Sabbath day holy. They created their own based on Roman Emperor Constantine, who changed the day. And order you not to work. And have you worship Jesus instead of the coming Mormon that they should have been preparing you for as Mormons. So, honor father and mother, but if they took away your agency, didn't raise you correctly, raised you to worship false prophets, false Christs, you can judge your parents too. But, Brigham Young, how many of you are as old as I am, and older, who knows about the murders of Brigham Young? Willard Richards and John Taylor murdered Joseph Smith and Hyrum. That's why they were there. They were not arrested. Just Joseph and Hyrum. This time. This final time. They both gave testimonies that greatly contradicted each other. It's as if they weren't even there. They were just going by what other people told about what other people told about what other people told, and it was separate people. Dear God. Their testimonies were not used in court. They didn't even show up. So the men, it was very easy for them to be acquitted. They were shot. Obviously, they didn't murder Joseph and Hyrum. To murder was my disqualification of this church. When I found out that Brigham Young was responsible for the assassination of our founder. There's no way in heaven or hell I am coming back. But then I would go on to find out more. As I already found out a whole bunch of stuff as a little kid. But adultery. Oh my bleeping hell. The newly released Saints books that didn't even bother to include the brand new Joseph Smith papers that the church released. They just made up a whole new history of the church. Now claim that Joseph Smith was not only practicing polygamy, but reinforce that he was raping little girls and committing adultery, stealing other men's wives and having sex with them. Adultery. And yet, as I was in my fury and wrath yesterday, gave you the documented evidence. The version that I used was from a person who published a revision organization of the original book of Brigham Young's that he had recorded. I have both. The person who published has it organized. And so I went off of that one, reading from it. See, my family knew Joseph was innocent. And for the Gospel Topics essays to outright lie pissed me off. Not just for John Gee's abomination of translation and historicity of the Book of Abraham. What a bastard. Because we have dealings. We have history. He's a bastard. He does not believe in Joseph Smith. He is a false translator who denies Joseph Smith and yet is teaching at BYU, unless he's retired. Probably got emeritus status or whatever it's called, where he's got a Hugh Nibley office until he dies. Bastard. And so no, these Danites of Brigham Young confess of their adultery, of their swinging, of their wife swapping, of their rape. They go far beyond adultery in their sexual deviance. As all Mormon women are now prostituted through Brigham Young's temple tithing. So yes, tithing is used by this church to steal. Thou shalt not steal. And Brigham Young even made it worse with the Perpetual Immigration Fund. Human slavery and sex trafficking. The original Jeffrey Epstein. Dear God, Trump, all you had to do was shut up. All you had to do was shut up. He poached my human sex trafficked little girls. They were my sex slaves. I thought we were friends. He betrayed me. Oh my God. Trying to save his life despite the beast that he is of Revelation 13. The need to destroy the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints is greater than my desire that Trump fall. The church is far more abominable than Trump. You cannot bear false witness against your neighbor. This is court stuff. You can't lie. You can't falsely accuse. accuse somebody. Does the church do this? Oh, hell yes. I am one of the church's victims on this from 2008, for which I filed a petition for a redress of grievances, and then all hell broke loose. How dare you attempt to molest or make afraid the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, Travis. And they falsely accused me. And in the false accusation, in Deuteronomy 19, verse 19, they reveal the same and worse fault in themselves. Oh, right, that beam and mote from Matthew chapter 7. Do not desire your neighbor's wife. Notice it says neighbor's wife. Adultery. Another man's wife. Don't have sex with her. Don't even desire her. Get your own. So, that Moses prophetic character named Jesus, which I believe is also in Matthew, he says in, I believe, Sermon on the Mount, isn't it? Whosoever looketh upon a woman to lust after her. Check without losing our place. Yep, Matthew 5. That whosoever looketh on a woman to lust after her hath committed adultery with her already in his heart. Yeah, this is a Captain Obvious thing. Captain Obvious. But Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints lies to us and says you can't look on any female. Don't look at her. She needs to be covered up and hidden. And so the church then calls women porn. Is that what this is saying? No. Whosoever looketh on a woman is a wife. Because woman in the Greek is correctly translated as a wife. Someone who's had babies. Otherwise, you're a virgin. You've never had a baby. Has nothing to do with sex, but sex is the way you have babies. But this is the definition of woman. Wife. Whosoever looketh upon a wife of another hath committed adultery. Not complicated. And the church lies to force Mormons into sexual abuse bondage, to deny masturbation, to deny porn. Because again, it's not that there's an image of a woman, it's worshiping it. And when the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints threatens you to fear the image of a woman, that she's addictive, she'll kill you, she's got the looks that kill, they're telling you to worship her. Because worship is just the belief or fear that an object has moral, spiritual, ethical powers. It can bestow them upon you for association. Addiction. Idol worship. That disturbed me in the news last night, too, because the Snapchat was exposed as to what's really going on. And they said addiction, but then they said what it really is. And I'm going, what the hell did you come up with addiction for? What Snapchat is being used for is pretty bad. It shouldn't even be had for adults. And you're focusing on children. Oh my hell. Sex trafficking on Snapchat. Drug sales on Snapchat. And you're worried about children being addicted. That's your focus. Talk about looking beyond the mark. Oh my hell. I was thinking it was just that kids are, doing dick pics. Boob flashing. Nope. Far worse. Oh my hell. Mormons, dear God, the dumbest people on earth. And so, yes, you're not supposed to steal, and so the rest are coveting what other property a person has. So just like they don't desire a neighbor's wife, don't commit adultery, don't covet other person's properties, don't steal. Real simple. And so, go back to Matthew for the one final one. 19. So I'm not... Yeah, we judge the world. So we can just quickly run over the news here at the end, because we're finishing it up. Matthew 19:21. There was a rich man who came to Jesus and said, "What good thing shall I do that I may have eternal life?" And so he condemns him for flattering and calling him good master. "Why callest thou me good? There is none good but one, that is the man like Moses in the future who will be a Mormon. If thou wilt enter into life, keep the commandments." And he saith unto him, "Which? All of them?" This is not literal history. This is a teaching moment. Thou shalt do no murder. Oh, a new commandment. Jesus says, no murder. We can now kill. Thou shalt not commit adultery, steal, bear false witness, honor father and mother, love thy neighbor. Young man said, all these I've kept from my youth. What lack I yet? Jesus said unto him, if thou wilt be perfect, complete, go and sell that thou hast, and give to the poor, and thou shalt have treasure in heaven, and come follow me. Yeah, that's the title of the manuals for Sunday school. Oops, they did it again. thanks to Stanford asking and inquiring about Laban and the brass plates, I was able to go over this with you, and it just happened to be perfect timing for the end of the world. This right here. This is about the man like Moses in the future. This is about Zion. This is about the temple in Zion. This is about the storehouse treasury in Zion to give to the poor, but in Zion, everybody uses the storehouse to be equal one with another. No monetary system of economy. But Malachi, you have robbed me. Wherein have you robbed me? In tithing. Bring all the tithes into the storehouse of the temple. As you go in the front gate into the woman's courtyard, off to the right is the storehouse, where that Jesus guy talks to his disciples, pointing out the widow who gives her 2 mites, whereas the Pharisees are standing around saying, look at me, Mom, look over here, Mom, look at me. Look at how much I'm putting in the shofar horn that goes into the box that contain the Word of God brass plates. This is the economy for Zion, that prior to was again a type and shadow symbolism for the Jews to be reminded of the latter days, for Zion getting their kingdom back with the Mormon in America. So yes, the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints violates this too. As a kid going into Bishop tithing settlement, he reads Malachi, and I understand with the bishop's storehouses that Malachi is talking about feeding the poor with the money for tithing. Then what's this fast offering that I also have to give, but is not really pushed? But I would go on to find out it tithing is the only one in the worthiness interview questions. As section 119 would also be told to me as a kid, and I'm going, this contradicts Malachi. And it says interest annually, and you're trying to tell me that Benson said it means wages? Interest is not wages. What the hell's going on? What is this, church? And to pay back Jesus' free atonement? And to pay, which Mormon women are higher priced prostitutes because of how long they make you wait before they'll agree to marry you. Oh, the woman was so upset with me when I said that in sacrament meeting. In the back, cultural hall seats, to the guy sitting next to me. But that's exactly what it is. Prostitution. Paying to have sex. Whether it's directly to the woman or to a pimp. And Mormons have to do both. We have to pay the woman and we have to pay the pimp. And when we pay the woman, she then pays the pimp for his cut. Pimp Daddy Nelson. The Epstein of Mormonism. As little kids are forced to pay not to have sex until they get married to then have sex. And then you gotta keep paying to keep your wife. To keep having sex despite all the times you end up on the couch or in the doghouse. What kind of church is this? At least televangelists only had the wife do the pool boy. Or rape the woman who would go on to become a centerfold. If you don't remember the scandals in the 80s and 90s, dear God. Judge. It's a simple thing to do when you're not guilty. The church is pure evil. And yes, a pattern match for the Book of Mormon's great and abominable church. They even put the inverted pentagram on Lucifer's doors of the Keystone of the Zolite Temple. Unbleeping believable that Mormons are that dumb or that evil to lie and deny about the truth. That is so Captain Obvious. So, yesterday, a community of Christ who referred to himself as the Reorganized Church of Jesus Christ. So I responded, just in case it might have been an AI, but it couldn't have been because he's been around since 2007. Remember? You got to check. AI, I'm hoping, is not capable of changing when they've started on YouTube. If they can do that, oh man, YouTube, you've got some problems. And so I responded. It's been a while since a member of the Community of Christ has been visiting my channel. When the new president was put in, female, Mormons are in denial that it's true. This is fake news. This didn't happen. They wouldn't put a woman as the president. Oh my God, Mormons. If they just stay away from the news, they won't know, and therefore we can't judge them. They're on a lower level to be judged. Yeah, you also go to a lower kingdom, you dumbass. You never bothered to read, and so you don't understand why you ain't getting what you thought you were going to get. bunch of foolish, not virgins. But even though my focus is for Mormons, anybody who wants to believe and live in Zion can, if you can keep the law, which is all based on love, which is agency, giving it to others, and they in return give it to you. I gave you the law for Zion with the economy. Anybody who can keep it can come to Zion and live. You don't keep it, you're out. It's real simple. And so those who are of the branch-offs from Joseph Smith, not really the ones from Brigham, but if they can restore the damage they did and give an offering in righteousness to the Zion temple, sure. Because you were not in the true religion. You were lied to and denied. So if you can run the test for your religion and learn the truth and leave it, and then restore and desire to come to Zion with an offering in righteousness, sure. You know, Sons of Levi, also from Stanford. See, when you study the scriptures, you learn line upon line, precept upon precept, and you are inspired in your studies to go to the next precept and the next precept. So that's why I did the videos with Stanford's comments and inquiries, is because he was an example of somebody who's learning how to learn by studying the scriptures. And it was perfect timing for what's going on right now in the coming day. And by this you are to be judged. As the Book of Mormon contains all this. The Book of Mormon will judge Mormons. And so anybody who's a branch off, anybody who's an ex-foe, you too. We're not excluded. You can come to Zion. But again, will you keep the commandments? Will you give agency so that in return you will get agency? Do unto others as you would have them do unto you. That's all you have to do. It's that simple. And so even those who are not Mormon, yeah, that's the whole point of missionary service. Nobody was Mormon in the beginning. You had to spread the word. But the missionaries in 1832, Brigham Young and his converts, the Danites, were sowing tares rather than the wheat of the truth. Falsehood instead of the truth. Presenting another Christ, presenting another religion, being false prophets. Joseph condemned them, and then they murdered him. All right. So, 9th Ave, 3 more days, guys. I have now judged you. Surely the Lord God will do nothing, save he shall revealeth the secrets unto his servants the prophets. I have now fulfilled that yet again. You have been warned in advance. If you choose not to watch my video, if the Mormon employee chooses you not to watch my video, He then will be held accountable. Murder. Red rum. So, Australia banned YouTube for teens. All the sex trafficking and drug sales. I don't get it. YouTube knows how to do it right, and they just refuse to do it right. They can have a YouTube for teens, call it a teen tube, so that only teens are allowed, so that once you turn 18, or 16 in the UK now, you get promoted to the adult channel. And so there's a big sending away. Bye guys, thanks for liking and subscribing. I'm now going to the adult channel. Hope to see you there when you're finally old enough. So that no adults can be creepy pervs to stalk them and try to sex traffic them. Real simple to do. They know how to do it. They refuse to do it. The government won't regulate them. Nonetheless, Australia is banning YouTube from teens. And it's not the issue. Parents are responsible for kids. What are the parents doing allowing their kid free access to the internet, let alone YouTube and social media sites, Snapchat? You're supposed to be teaching your kids how to be adults. And part of that is to let your kids know about the dangers in the world. You're supposed to tell them how to run the test for people who are lying to you, who want to cause you harm. And yet, parents just pass the buck off to society, to the government, to the school system, to raise their kids for them. And the government tanks the economy by not regulating it. Businesses think they're going to make so much money by screwing over customers that both parents are required to work, and so the kids have to be put into a daycare center, which then murders them and rapes them, sex traffics them. And that's just in the state of Utah. God. What happened to the days of babysitters where dad was tempted to have sex with her? Oh, that's why daycare centers got started, huh? Oh my hell. So, yeah. It's the parents. But the parents are under pressure by the government who are not regulating the economy. In Zion, all of this is solved. It's not only a commandment to keep the 10 commandments that are not 10, but it's also giving you the opportunity to keep them. You know, the false saying of give a man a fish, you have to feed him every single day for the rest of his life. Teach a man to fish, and you starve him to death with torture, knowing how to get fish, but not having the opportunity for it. Yeah. So that's the problem with that, is that you can't just teach a man to fish. You've got to provide the pond with an excellent, goodly supply of good, healthy fish. And then provide him with the fishing rod and any other tools necessary to do the fishing, to get the fish, and then to cook it and eat them. And yet, pull people out of poverty. Nobody will do that. Teach your kids in the way they should go, so that when they're older, they will not depart from it. So yes, parents need to teach their kids how to use the internet, how to use it for school, to stay away from the evil women. And pursue this nice, friendly person impersonating an avatar of a teddy bear who says, "I want to meet you. I'm your friend." I'm Mr. Tinkertrain. Doing that since his funeral had happened. Notice for the 8-minute video yesterday, I put out all the greatest hits. Hegseth is talking about running for Tennessee governor. He's a member of Trump's team. He knows what's going on. He knows the bigger picture. He knows what Trump wants. 3 Nephi chapter 7, a national divorce, destroying the federal government, so that the rule of the states, and Hegseth now wants to consider running for governor. He knows what's going on. Book of Mormon is true, Mormons. You didn't believe. And so, yes, likewise, Harris, clueless about the bigger picture, does not want to be a governor or a governess. She doesn't know about it. Only those on the inside of the secret combination know about it. Harris is not in the inner circle. These are how you tell. Virginia City Councilman, dear God, apparently it was not for his political views, it was not for anything he had said, it was just a personal spat between a guy who knew him. What the hell kind of a spat is that he doused him in gasoline and lit him on fire in the office? Dear God. Something you'd only expect here in Utah. Powell, despite Trump putting pressure on him to lower the rate, is true to his honey badger form and refused to lower the rate again, and Trump is pissed. Hey, I thought I threatened you to lower the rate. And so, I was notified by Mr. Honey Badger with a picture that included text about how Trump allows you now to talk about your religion in the workplace. And Desi from The Daily Show was my confirmation that that is correct. Hail Satan! Oh my hell. I just see lots of violence emerging from this. People getting doused in gasoline and lit on fire. Oh my hell. So, here in Utah, in Salt Lake County, or city district, they have employees that go around and mow the weeds to keep them down during fire season so that there are no fires. And instead, he caused the fire that spread to the Mill Creek City apartments, destroying people's lives. They're now ruined. Nobody will help them out of their poverty. It was forced upon them by a Salt Lake City worker just doing his job and starting a fire that spread to the apartments. So we know what happened. We know who's responsible. We know everything that happened. And the victims, we know that they're victims. And we shouldn't be blaming them, because that would make us bad people to blame the victims, especially when you're the part of the cause of what happened to their lives. It kind of makes you evil. And so, officials, government officials, are now blaming victims to mow their lawns of their apartment that they are renting. Wait a minute, no, that's the property manager who's responsible for having the lawns mowed. And it wasn't even on their property, it was in Salt Lake City. Oh my God. And sure enough, the officials are blaming the victims, ordering what can't be done. So we talked about Snapchat. I mean, I don't use Snapchat. I didn't know. I just heard from the news, it's addictive. It's harming our children because it's addictive. What the hell are you talking about? Why are you pushing idol worship? And now I find out sex trafficking and drug sales. Yeah, no, that was the story you needed to lead with. What the hell are you doing talking about addiction? Making yourself stupid. Ah, dear God. So, remember yesterday? Probably not, it was 3 hours long. We're heading there already. It shouldn't be too much longer. How I talked about how our government, even in Utah, especially in Utah, likes to solve problems by creating more. Hiring a committee, paying them their lifestyles, of which they spend the rest of their lives never coming up with a solution to fix the problem. Well, yeah, the news reported that the Utah government has spent $2 million to not fix the housing crisis. For the committee to review how to fix the housing crisis, and didn't do it, and they've already spent $2 million, when all they needed to do was just build more homes that are not expensive because you're not using AI to tell you how to raise the rent. Raise the electric bill, raise the utility bills, raise the water bill if that applies for you. Dear God, this is not complicated. Everybody is just making the problem worse. I know what to do. Jesus is telling me that I should screw over the customers. And I noticed another homeless person that attempted to show up last night got abducted in the middle of the night. Was it space aliens? So yes, ICE raids have increased in Utah, secretly. Sort of. We all knew it. We knew in the beginning that Cox was designating this place as a sanctuary state to protect the church, who's human and sex trafficking little girls and their mommies of Islam. I mean Mormonism. Because, it's cultural, not religious, for sexual abuse. As sleeper cells in America. Nope, not at all. And so, yeah, the deportation trips out are escalating in bigly numbers lately. So yes, Utahns do now have to fear like the rest of the nation. But there's over 600,000. So homeless are also supposed to be deported back to the country that they weren't even an ancestor of, let alone came from. So finally, everybody's getting deported to make it harder for me to bring you all back to Zion. Utah Lieutenant Governor is in trouble. Something to do with voting info. Isn't that great? Government, the corruption of the people. So yeah, AI is causing property taxes to increase in Utah as well. Just I warn, nobody listens. We know it's a corrupt product. We're not pulling it. We're not recalling it. They just say, "Oh no, we can fix this." It's not getting fixed. It's not intelligent. It's a malware virus. So, yesterday was reported the 6th largest earthquake in recorded history. And this is because of the rising temperatures of the earth. Because a volcano eruption also occurred as a consequence of it. That is also an explanation as to why it was so massive of an earthquake. When you heat up the earth, you turn the earth into a bomb waiting to explode. And so the earth has safety mechanisms to release the heat pressure from within the earth. Thus, earthquakes and volcanic eruptions and geysers. As somebody got burned in Yellowstone yesterday too. Yep. So with the heating of the earth, we're going to see an escalation of massive magmatic earthquakes with volcanic eruptions. They're paying attention to just north of Mount St. Helens in Washington. They're concerned that that may blow too. So, be on the alert. These are the latter days that are over with. You missed them. Church lied to you. May 22nd, 1960 is the largest, 9.6, Valdivia, Chile. March 27th, 1964, Prince William Sound, Alaska, 9.3. December 26, 2004, Sumatra, Indonesia, 9.3. So technically they're tied for number 2. That's interesting. So it's the 5th largest. They're making boo-boos here. Because if Sumatra and Prince William Sound are the same. They're tied for number 2. And so number 3, March 11th, 2011, was Tohoku, Japan region, at a 9.1. And so number 4, not 5, is November 4th, 1952, Kamchatka, Russia, 9.0. January 31st, this is a tie for number 5. 1906, Ecuador, Colombia, 8.8. July 30th, 2025, Kamchatka. Interesting. July, that was yesterday. Huh. Oh, that's... That was yesterday. They immediately upgraded this. Good for you guys. 8.8. So there's just the 3. February 27th, 2010, Male, Chile, 8.8. Fascinating. Okay. So yes, you gotta be nice to Earth. Earth will respond with a volcanic eruption. Right Time Machine from 1960. It was the best scene, going over the women's fashion on the mannequins. That was a Saturday afternoon movie that I watched. Fell in love with it immediately because my mom, having me involved with women's fashion, just not letting her know because she forbid it. We're Mormon. Women are evil. But Mom, aren't you? No, other women. My sisters. They're evil, right? They need to cover up and hide. Yeah, Tiffany. Sure. Her in her prom dress. I have to tell it. Tiffany gets a prom dress, and I'm not sure how, because Mom didn't like it. I'm unaware of her having a job. As she's younger than I am. It's a black dress, and, yes, it's immodest by Mormon standards. And so my mom was upset. Didn't want her to wear that dress. Tiffany loved it. So she was going to have it. Mom wasn't going to tell her what to wear. So, Dad comes home from work. Tiffany immediately rushes to show him the dress. And he goes, "Oh, that's a pretty dress." And Mom, who comes out from the kitchen to see, oh, the scowl of fury on her face. Hilarious! Yep, Tiffany always knows how to scam people to get what she wants. Oh my God. So, yeah, Texas. Already rigging in advance of the 2026 midterms. They gerrymandered the districts to add 5 additional House seats for 2026. See, they're preparing for failure in Texas. Hegseth knows that there's going to be a destruction of the federal government, and therefore the governors are going to be the leaders of the various nation states. Texas is out of the loop, but Texas is still on the forefront of helping destroy the federal government. And so in doing, they're preparing in advance, in case of failure, for the midterms. Okay, so obviously, when you remove a criminal who's got a worldwide operation, it creates a vacuum for the criminals around the world. Just like removing terrorists from the Middle East, Islamic terrorism, it created a vacuum. So when we destroyed Iraq, it created a vacuum and gave rise to Al-Qaeda as a consequence. And so likewise with Epstein, by locking him up and murdering him in jail, with the missing minute that our government had the whole time. Nothing says conspiracy like conspiracy. Yes, they shut him up to protect the powerful people from around the world and here in Utah. Wright Huntsman Jr. and his wife. And so yes, this created a vacuum of the need for sex trafficking around the world. Those guys don't just shut it off now that Epstein is out of the picture. They go to another source. Other people say, hey, there's a vacuum. Supply and demand. Just capitalism. So yeah, a whole bunch of people rose up to fill the sex trafficking position. Snapchat. Your source for underage child sex trafficking. It's not addictive. It's just criminal. Canada has joined France and the UK to be Islamic terrorists. Like I warned, when you turn Islam into a recognized Palestinian state, you will now be funding them for their terrorism. So right now, they're not recognized as a state, and so Canada can only give aid, UK only aid, and France aid. But once you turn them and recognize them as a state, you will now be funding them directly. You will be arming them directly for their terrorism, for which they already have sleeper cells in your nations. Leaders of government are just the most stupid people in the universe. So, you guys do know that if Utah were to have the big one, it would be a ripple effect because we're in a valley, right? Just rolling thunder. Up, back and forth, back and forth. Yeah, Utah's in for a big one, isn't it? Yeah, tornadoes are still hitting because of the temperature changes, record-breaking temperatures, and so even more violent tornadoes, not just hurricanes and monsoons, tsunamis from earthquakes and volcanic eruptions. All of this is escalating, guys. All of it is escalating. So yeah, America got hit with the collision of the superheated dome colliding with the cooler air, creating tornadoes. Which I do want to hear that song today. Human beings. So, but we'll use Mr. Tinker Train still. I'll just listen to that on my computer while I make the videos. And Zuckerberg is now creating the fraud of superintelligence. We're still waiting for artificial intelligence. I've not seen it yet. And already Zuckerberg is now claiming he's creating super AI. It's a fraud, guys. It's got malicious intent to be a wolf in sheep's clothing. And he doesn't even bother to wear the sheep's clothing. We all know he's a wolf. The Wolf of Wall Street. Ken Jennings, to contrast with AI, is now coming out with a trivia book. He is not intelligent. He just memorized. So there you have it. We're all doomed. Judgment Day is nigh.